You're still watching Prime Morning, and we know that you've been inspired this morning by that motivational video. It's time for us to delve into what the newspapers have for us. Time for a news flash segment. And my very first guest is here. I'm still waiting for the second guest, but let me still introduce my first guest, Paul Grieve of Dankwa, who is a government spokesperson on governance and security. Good morning, Paul Grieve.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm well.
And actually today we'll say that may God strengthen you. We know that you've lost your mother, and it's quite a difficult time, and so we are praying with you that God will give you the strength to put a smile on your face again. It's not easy. I know how it feels like. So you've mustered a lot of courage to be here this morning.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You'll be fine.
Thank you.
Right, and we will be joined later by Godwin Ayaba Mahama, who will represent the NDC this morning. He's still on his way, and so hopefully he will join us soon. But we have a lot of topics that we'll be discussing this morning. But let me first start with our newspapers. Now, if you're home and you want to join the conversation, now this is the main conversation that we want you to join, but you can still comment on the other ones as well. We know that Honorable Alan Kojo-Kyerematen, who was competing to become the flag of the NPP, gave us a blow yesterday where everybody has been shocked because he has decided to withdraw from the race. Now, when they did the Super Delegates Conference, yes, we know Dr. Bawumia came up tops, and then the shocker was when Honorable, what's his name? God have mercy. Sometimes you sit on TV and you go blank. It's normal. I'm human just like you are. Our showdown man, Kennedy Japan, actually emerged as the second. And then we had Honorable Alan Kojo-Kyerematen emerge as the third. And then we had Dr. Free Akoto emerge as the fourth. Now, the thing is that everybody was quite surprised that Kennedy emerged second, where they thought that it was going to be Honorable Alan Kojo-Kyerematen. After the elections, he came out to speak about the election, saying that it's actually being skewed towards one person becoming the flag bearer. And yesterday, we were told that he was going to address the press to talk about some of the issues that he's not happy about. But surprisingly, he actually released a statement saying that he's withdrawing from the race and gave various reasons. One of them being the fact that the elections is skewed towards one particular person. And the second reason he gave was that there's been some mishaps during the Super Delegates Conference where he has spoken about it because one of his people got brutalized. He's spoken about it, but the party hasn't done anything about it. Hence, he's not too happy about it. And so he has to step down because he doesn't think that this is something that he wants to be a part of, because there's going to be, he doesn't think it's going to be free and fair. Those are his words. Now, we don't know what the reaction out there is like, but let's hear from you. What do you think about it? Do you think it's a step in the right direction for him to step down, or he's actually let his people down? Do you think that it's going to affect the party in the long run, especially looking at where he hails from? Now, we look at the year 2016, where he decided to support the then candidate, Akufo-Addo, Akufo-Addo, who is now the president of Ghana, supported him, and it shot the numbers in the Ashanti region, and it actually gave them a massive victory in the Ashanti region. Now, when he stepped down in 2020 and decided not to support him, the numbers in the Ashanti region actually dwindled down. And so there is some sort of effects, the Alan effects in the Ashanti region. Do you think that in 2024, this Alan effect being stepped down will affect the NPP, or you don't think so? Do you think he also stepped down because he feels that he will not pull the numbers and he doesn't want to be the third, but rather even a second or a first? Well, let's hear from you this morning. We'll start off with what the newspapers are having this morning, and we'll start with the ABC newspaper. And it reads, "So help me God, Alan throws in the towel, the inside story. We need to punish economic crimes through fair and honest justice system," says the AG. Editorial, resignation of John Alan Kojo-Kyerematen, what chiefly accounted for it. My government's Galamsey ban is yielding positive results for Ghana, says Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and this we'll discuss as well. Let's do the Daily Guide newspaper. Veep opens automated premix fuel system. Galamsey ban reducing carbon emissions, says Nana Akufo-Addo. The banner headline reads, Alan withdraws from NPP race, and Special Prosecutor refreezes Cecilia Dapa's account, which we'll talk about it as well. And Ghana needs reformed spirit, says NYA CEO. The Ghanaian publisher is our next newspaper. What is truly at stake in the 2024 elections? Kojo Afari writes, Forestry Commission fires Joy FM, charges them to put issues in proper context. We know that, Forestry Commission, they've actually taken a lot of interest in some of the, should I call it expose, or I should just say documentary series that we brought out, and they want us to work together, simply put. Okay, Alan shockingly pulls out of NPP race, and we'll talk about that as well. The Finder newspaper, Alan quits flag bearer race, alleges intimidation and skewed process. OSP returns Cecilia Dapa's money and seizes it again. Stakeholders commend Access Bank's first half performance. Forestry Commission outlines Galamsey fight in Apaparama Forest Reserve. Brand Ghana needs forward-looking structures upon Akufo-Addosaysso, and banner headline, Premix fuel dispensing, monitoring automated. The New Crusading Guide. Alan exits NPP flag bearer race, cites intimidation, skewed delegates confab. Brand Ghana needs forward-looking structures upon Akufo-Addosaysso. Energy Minister touts Ghana's committed efforts on decarbonization and energy efficiency at Africa Climate Summit. Doma East MP calls for protection of judiciary from political attacks. Resigned your decision on limited voters registration. Young Patriots movement to EC. And Bogoso police commander accused of auctioning taxi driver's car unlawfully. Hey, wow. I don't want to use the words from Honorable Kennedy Japo, but he got to do that. He got to do that because you ought to go by law. How do you auction somebody's car unlawfully? Wow. The Daily Graphic newspaper will be our last newspaper for this morning. Alan Chimatin withdraws from NPP presidential race. OSP freezes Cecilia Dapa's accounts again. Premix fuel system automated. Move to check hoarding, ensure transparency. And this will be it for our newspapers. Do send in your messages to us. You've realized that almost all the newspapers are carrying two main topics. Actually, three main topics, which has to do with the Galamsey fight, where Nana Akufo-Addo has said that it's yielding results. Then we know that the Special Office of the Special Prosecutor actually returned Cecilia Dapa's seized properties, but they have seized it again, effective today. And also, we know that Honorable Alan Kojo has withdrawn from the flag bearership race of the New Patriotic Party. What's your take on it? We'll add other stories as well. But let me welcome Paul Grave once again, and so we delve into our conversation. Paul Grave, welcome one more time.
Thank you, Rosie. It's good to be here, and it's good to be back on the table. A very good morning to you and your viewers and your listeners, and to my constituents in Bokanov, and to the New Patriotic Party, that we remain strong and resolute as a party in these very trying and turbulent times of determination of the future of our party, and then also of the determination of who becomes the flag bearer of our party. So a very good morning to you.
This is this shocking to hear the news of Honorable Alan Kojo withdrawal from the race? Extremely very shocking.
I don't think it was expected from any of us. None of us ever expected that we will get to this stage. His reasons that he has raised, I'm not sure if he has any factual evidence to that. I've just put up the Constitution of the New Patriotic Party, and Article 4 talks about disciplinary and grievance procedures. And so if anyone within the New Patriotic Party has any grievances, there's a disciplinary and grievance procedure that you can go through. But the Honorable Alan Kojo Tremantin has not sought to use the constitution of the New Patriotic Party, but has, with his council of elders within his campaign team, withdrawn from the race. It's a very sober moment for us as a political party. I think it would be very unfortunate and sad for anyone to jubilate in the midst of these difficulties. We as a New Patriotic Party, we are one family. We remain stronger, and so when one of us is unwell and unhappy, it's important that we nurse the wounds of that individual. And so I would wish Alan Kojo Tremantin well. I would also hope and pray that his resolve to be continually involved in the politics of this country would not defer away from the traditions of the New Patriotic Party. The New Patriotic Party is a party of tradition, it's a party of love, it's a party of loyalty, it's a party of roots of togetherness, and a very strong united party. And so I would wish that his resolve would be to continually remain a stronger part of the New Patriotic Party, an elder of the New Patriotic Party, and throw his support behind any of the persons that are contesting the flag bearership, or if he so desires to remain, not throwing his support against any of them, be part of the process of the 4th November. And if the disciplinary committee sees it wise to invite him so he can be able to express his grievances and table his evidence for those issues to be addressed, I think that that would be a step in the right direction. It's too early in the day
to speak about
for him to have withdrawn. I mean, because he has stated that the elections were skewed towards a particular candidate. I'm not too sure there are evidences to that. The party opened nominations. Various persons who felt that they were credible enough to file for nominations went to pick up nomination forms. The party set up a vetting committee. Everybody was vetted. All 10 people were passed. And the party allowed them to pick up the number that they want to be on the ballot paper. Everyone picked up their number. And then the party set up a date for the Super Delegate Congress. As a party, we are guided by the constitution of the party, as it is from learning from history. As a result of that, we held our Super Delegates on the 26th of August, which is just a few weeks ago. The Super Delegates is to pick up 5 people. You realize that in the first history of the party, we had 2 people having the 5th position. That was Adainimo and Ejakon. In the end, we realized that Ejakon honorably gave the 5th position to Adainimo, for which reason there was not a need to do an election again.
Well, he also, said that he shared similar sentiment to what Honorable Alan has said. He actually did say that he felt that it was being skewed towards one person. He felt that it wasn't going to be a free and fair one, hence he's not even going to compete at all.
No, I disagree with those points. You see, our party has rules and regulations laid out. Everything that we do as a political party is guided by the constitution of the party. And so if you have grievances, I mean, Article 4 talks about the procedure within which you should channel your grievances. And so if you feel that, and I think that the narrative about the fact that the election of the New Patriotic Party flag bearership is skewed towards one person is unfounded. It is dead on arrival. It's unfounded at all. There is no person that the election is being guided towards. I mean, this election is obviously supervised by the Electoral Commission, which everyone is aware of. The people that have voted based on how well individuals have campaigned how well individuals have been able to share their vision, their goals, their philosophies, and the growth of the new patriotic
Right,
party.
I'll come back to you to have a conversation, but we want to speak with a political scientist this morning because we want to have a very open conversation. We don't want it to be skewed towards, the two political parties. So let me go online and speak with Dr. John Osei-Kwapong, who is a political scientist. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Fine, thank you. And how are you?
I'm doing very well this morning. And were you surprised to hear the news of the withdrawal by Honorable Alan Kojo-Martin from the flag bearership race?
Yes, I was very, very surprised that he dropped out. This is an ambition that he has nursed for a while, going all the way back to 2007 towards the end of the Akufo administration. And even after the super delegates had voted, he did issue a statement in which he thanked, the delegates for how they voted. Some of his campaign spokesperson talked about the fact that the real race was on November 4th, which was a much bigger electoral college, etc., etc. So nothing, at least from what I observed, from what I was reading, from what I was hearing from folks that I interact with on social media who are his ardent supporters, there was no indication that this was coming. Now, when I saw the fact that he was going to hold a press conference, I was curious, what the press conference was about. Two people that I spoke with, one speculated that he might drop out of the race, and I said, no, I don't think he will do that. I think he's going to go all the way. Another person said perhaps it was about addressing some of the concerns that he had, particularly over the over the assault on his delegate, as the picture showed on the day of the super delegate. So I sort of agreed with that. And when he released the statement after the super delegates, he had said that there were some things that happened that he was going to address in due course. So I honestly thought some of the issues or the things that he didn't think went well in the process, that was what he was going to address in his press conference, and then urge the party to put in mechanisms to make sure that those things do not repeat themselves on November 4th. But withdrawing from the race was the last thing that I thought Alan was going to do.
You said that looking at the kind of reasons that he gave, of course, he had spoken about it earlier. We're all looking at the party executives addressing these issues. However, they were not addressed, and then he stepped down. They were in the pipeline to be addressed, and he stepped down. Do you think the reasons that he gave in his letter to step down is the real reason, or there are other reasons that probably he didn't speak about?
Probably there are other reasons he didn't speak about. Maybe there are other things, other grievances that he may have, but these are the ones that he made public. And for the ones that he made public, particularly on the issues of he alleges, coordinated intimidation, et cetera, and the fact that he's not even sure whether those things will not repeat themselves come November, that probably they may even get worse. I think there's a grievance procedure that, as a participant in this primary election, he could have exhausted. Now, as to why he chose not to fully exhaust that grievance procedure, he's the only one who can explain. I don't know if he just felt that, what's the point? Why should I even bother, trying to bring this to the attention of the party all the way, et cetera, et cetera. But I think he could have exhausted that grievance procedure to see the extent to which the party responds. Now, if, let's say, given another, couple of weeks, he doesn't see any positive action from the party in terms of either disciplining people or putting in new mechanisms to strengthen and forestall some of these things come November, then I think he would have had a much stronger case to say, look, I've brought this to your attention. We are getting close to November 4th. I don't see any action from the party, and therefore I'm out. On the question of the race being skewed, I don't think the race is skewed in terms of the procedures that have been put in place and the rules, right? Everybody had the chance to be nominated, vetted fairly, approved, and participated. So in terms of the process, I don't think it is skewed. At the same time, for me, I've constantly, written an opinion that I get the sense that the vice president will pull this off. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are skewing the rules in his favor, but some of the well-known, or at least some of the key figures, key voices, for one reason or the other, believe that he's the one to lead the party into 2024, and some of them have not shied away from making that known publicly, that they prefer Dr. Bawumia as their flag bearer. That doesn't make the race skewed.
Oh, right. That doesn't make it skewed. Now let's look at the future of the New Patriotic Party with Honorable Alan Kojo-Kyerematen stepping down. Do you think it will affect them in the year 2024's elections?
I always say that when a party is going into an election, the biggest thing they always want working in their favor is party unity. And therefore, they always have to make sure that they quickly deal with anything that may chip at the unity of the party. For me, it is incumbent on the party to treat this and treat it well and handle it carefully. We have to be both gracious in defeat, but also be gracious in victory. Yes, I'm sure there's a section, of the party or party supporters who are going with a different candidate, who will feel excited, may choose to throw him, etc., etc. But I think how the party itself as an institution handles his grievances, especially after his withdrawal from the race, I think will be very key towards ensuring that there's party unity going into 2024. And I hope that they treat him with respect, with grace. After all, he's been part of the party for years. They may not be happy with some of the reasons he's alluded to, but I think in the interest of the party, it is incumbent on the party to make sure that they treat him with grace and dignity going forward.
Right. And, looking at his record, this is not the first time he's stepping down, actually. And so some people are of the opinion that, he struggles to take a defeat. It looks like when he looks into the future, thinking that he would have probably emerged as the second best on the sheet when it came to the Super Delegates Conference, where he did not, but rather it became, Kennedy Japan who emerged at the second. It's a difficult road or a difficult position for him to take, meaning November, on November 4th, it's going to be a little difficult for him to emerge as a flag bearership. So he might as well step down now. So people are saying that he's not somebody who takes defeat too well. Do you think this being a second time of him stepping down could actually go against his credibility?
Yes, and I think that, given, another election cycle, right, should he come back and say, I want to contest on the ticket of the party, I'm just not sure how seriously then, folks within the party will take another bid, because I'm sure they would, recall 2007, and I'm sure they would recall, 2023 primaries as well. Former President Akufo once said something to me when I asked him that after he lost the 92 primary to Edubuahe, and after he even won the nomination for 96 and lost the 96 election, did he think about, I'm done, I've lost twice, I don't even want to do this anymore? And he used an interesting imagery. He said, politics is like trying to climb up a slippery pole, right? Sometimes you fall, sometimes you rise, but you keep, climbing till you get to the top. And I think this, I personally don't think works well, in the favor of Mr. Kyerematen, unless he doesn't want, a life in politics, anymore. That's a different story. But to come back someday again and want to be flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, given these two incidents that he would be carrying, I think will be very difficult. And then if you also look at his performance in party primaries since 2007, you do see that his share of the vote has been going down. Yes, he's contested against an extremely popular figure like President Akufo-Addo during those primaries, but still, you can see a shrinking of his share of the vote. And then for him to have placed third tells me that this may not even help someday if he really wants to contest for flag bearer of the party.
Right. Now, some people are speculating that he will use this whole, Akan or Ashanti thing to back Honorable Kennedy Japan. Do you think that will happen?
I hope not. I think we have to try and move beyond identity politics, right, and try to play the ethnicity card. I mean, he's free to back whoever he wants to back, but I hope that whoever he decides to back would not be because it is fueled by ethnic sentiments. I don't think that is healthy for our politics.
Right. Thank you so much, Doc, for speaking with us this morning. We are super grateful.
My pleasure.
Please still have a good day. All right. So I come back into the studio and I have a conversation with my guest. Godwin is here, Godwin Ayaba Mahama, who is representing the NDC. Godwin, as a NDC member, let me ask you what your political party thinks about the resignation. Oh, it's not resignation, it's actually a withdrawal of Honorable Alan-Kwadwo from the flag bearership race.
Let me say good morning to your viewers. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, I've not been well.
Oh, sorry about that.
You never checked up on me.
Oh, I heard you had traveled.
No.
So you told the people you had traveled?
No, I told them I wasn't well.
Oh, no, I wasn't told. I'm sorry about that. Are you feeling better this morning?
Somehow, okay.
Or should buy you house of cocoa to eat?
After the program. After the program.
Right.
Yes, as I said, let me take this opportunity to say a very good morning to your viewers and tell the people of Ghana that from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, this morning at 9 a.m. on his social media handle, he will be talking to the people of Ghana. So if you get an opportunity, you go online, Facebook, Twitter, and try and follow the conversation. It's about building the Ghana rules you and I want, not building the Ghana.
But why 9 a.m.?
They are chin people only want to build.
Some of us will be on air.
That is the time. That is the time. I have to communicate the time to you. He wants to build the Ghana you and I want as a citizen, not the Ghana Nana Addo Dankwa, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia are building for their personal interest. For the NDC, this didn't come as a surprise to us. Because if you look at the current leader of the MPP being Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, whoever knows him very well knows who he is and his character. When I read Honorable Alan-Kwadwo communique, I think he seems to be describing who Nana Addo is in the letter.
He didn't describe anybody.
I said it seems. I choose my words carefully. It seems. Because on the...
why not anybody else but Nana Addo?
Because he's the leader of the party.
But he didn't say any leader.
He's the leader of the party.
You continue.
He's the leader of the party. And there is nothing the party does without consulting.
But they have a chairman.
Or taking,
they have a general
I don't have a problem with that. I know they have all those portfolio and people are being manned by those portfolio, but I know what I'm talking about. I said he's the leader of the party. Just after their super delegates conference, Alan-Kwadwo released a first communique, which he was very disappointed in how things went about. Sitting here, I heard my brother saying that the MPP is a party of rule of law, and they follow the rule. But you realize that apart from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who didn't complain about certain untoward behaviors and attitude that went on during the super delegates conference, almost all the other delegates, all the other aspirants complained that the rules and regulations that the election committee placed and spoke with them about were frowned upon. People couldn't follow it. One, they were not supposed to go into the arena with phones. They were not supposed to take pictures. Regional executives are not supposed to be agents for any of the candidates. And they are supposed to have the election at an open space. But if you look at Northeast, it was done in, I think, one of the school's dormitory hall, which is contrary to the rule set by the election committee. And all these people have complained about the fact that the rules were not complied with. So the question is, after 2 weeks or 3 weeks of that superdelegates conference, are they telling us that they have not been able to call some of those people that went contrary to those rules? And that is what Alan Kojo Chemante is complaining about, or did complain in his first letter. In the second letter, he restated virtually the same thing, to say that the election seems to be skewed towards one person. On that particular score, Boakye Agyapong has said same. Kennedy Agyapong has also repeated the same thing. And it looks like it is a must for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to win. And it doesn't matter whether they are practicing democracy or not. So long as the president and some big wings of the party are supporting a particular candidate, they must do everything to make sure that candidate wins. I've heard some of their communicators say that his popularity keeps coming down. Granted that it is even true. If that is,
it's not granted, it is.
If that is the truth, then such person should not be somebody you try to skew things against, because virtually his popularity is coming down. So he won't be a threat. So if that person isn't a threat and his popularity is coming down, then you should have made the whole process free and fair.
But is it not free and fair?
Oh, here person has complained. You see, sometimes when we are speaking,
so is it all complaints that are true?
Which of them have they come to dispute? That is one.
I'm asking, is it all complaints that are true?
Virtually, it won't be all, but we all watched. We all followed the superdelegates conference. We saw what happened.
Is it something that happens in all political parties?
It's not something that happens in all political parties.
So it's never happened in the NDC?
I'm saying that.
Oh no, it's a question.
I'm saying that it is not something that happens in all political parties.
But it happens in the two top political parties.
What has happened is what the NDC just had our primaries. Did that happen?
Yes, it happened.
It didn't happen.
It did happen.
Tell me where.
You had Kojo Bonsu to complain. You had Dr. Akufo-Addo take you to court. Dr. Akufo-Addo withdrew from the flag bearership race and left John Dramani Mahama to compete with Kojo Bonsu alone.
I've told you that.
And they actually also complained about similar things. They said that there were some inconsistencies in the registration. The register that was released, they complained about it. They took the party to court. They even went further to take the party to court before he withdrew. So is this something that happens in the two political
when
parties?
The issue comes, don't take the issue out of context.
I haven't taken anything.
No, I'll show you why I'm saying you've taken it out of.
How did I?
Contest. In the NDC, when the candidate bought their forms, part of the guideline was that we were going to use delegate lists. And listen to me carefully, delegates list. Then that was what was in the guideline. So that becomes the law that's supposed to govern the elections. Then going forward, in the wisdom of the party, decides to compile delegates album, which will include photographs of the delegates as an additional document, which didn't find space in the guidelines. It is just to support the process. Then he decides to complain about that has not been furnished to him. But the one that was in the guideline was given to him.
Is it not a complaint?
It was at the behest of the party, either to give that particular album to him or not to, because it wasn't part of the guideline that they all sat to agree on. So they are two different. I'm talking about a guideline that they all agreed on. On the day of election, that was what's supposed to be used. And people went contrary to it. So you cannot compare the two.
So who was going contrary to it?
Oh, but I told you that we all watched it. And that is what finds space in both Kojo Alanchemante's letter. When you read that of Boakye Agyapong, he also stated same. Kennedy Agyapong.
But Kojo Bonsu stated same. Dr. Akufo-Addo stated same.
And I've given you the rationale.
So the two, how is it that those two stated same? Two people are stating same in their own two. It's that one is different. Is it not? I mean, everybody and their concerns. I am paying very much attention to it. I do understand.
The reason why when the issue went to court, nothing good came out of it was that. I've told you.
It's not nothing good came out. He withdrew the case.
He withdrew because he realized.
Doesn't mean that nothing good came out of it.
He withdrew because he realized that the issue was nothing to write home about. I've told you that when you go to court, it's about proving on the fact that this was the guideline given to us, that it was going to be the basis for our elections. The question the judge will ask you is that, have they complied with A? You said yes. B, no. C, yes. then at the end they will look at it and pass judgment. I'm saying that on the guideline that was officially issued to them, we didn't have anything called delegates album. But in this case, they are complaining about guidelines that they all accepted, but people went contrary to it.
So why did you create a delegates album?
I'm saying that it was something the party, in the wisdom of the party,
to do what?
Just wanted to add up.
So they also felt that you were skewing.
I don't have a problem. But I'm saying that it was just to add up, because in the absence of the album, the delegates list,
so that's why he went to
was also competent to be used
but
for that particular election.
You told them that there's a delegate.
Rosalind,
Godwin, yes.
Let us not move away from the substance of the matter.
I'm just
telling you that the two issues
I asked a simple question. I asked a simple question. We saw this happen during the NDC race. We are seeing it happen in the NDC.
It never happened.
It looks like the two political parties are feeding us the same meal.
Aside what they are complaining about, I've also told you that you and I saw footages. You are even a journalist. I don't know whether you took keen interest or you were even on the grounds in some of the regions. There are instances where people's eyes were wounded.
One person.
They say people's eyes were wounded.
One is not people. One is the person.
Kennedy, a Japan's agent, some of them were driven away from the centers. Some of them were sacked. Some of them were beaten. Those are the things we are talking about.
Beaten.
So far,
one.
That of Alan Tremantin, that of Kennedy, a Japan.
How many?
In Atebubu, that particular region where Atebubu is.
You have seen a footage of somebody beating.
I've told you that. See, go and check. After the Super Delegates Conference, they held a press conference. Those that were beaten spoke on camera or in camera to all of us. I'm telling you that Kennedy.
They spoke to the NDC?
No.
Because the press don't know.
I said they had that press conference. It was telecast live by Net2.
And the people that were beaten.
Kennedy, a Japan station, telecasted it live. There was an agent in Atebubu.
So how come it never
who was also beaten?
Because when one person was beating, who is in the camp of Honorable Alan Kojo-Tremartin, we all heard about it.
Rosalind.
So how is it that Kennedy,
if I don't know what I'm talking about,
I just want us to speak to facts.
Are you aware they had a press conference?
Yes, they did have a press conference.
Did you follow the press conference?
They didn't say that people had been beating and all of that.
Did you follow the press conference?
Yes, I did. But they didn't say that people had been beaten and all of that. Let's continue though.
No, Rosalind, I'm saying that aside the agent for Alan Tremantin, who was beaten, one agent of Kennedy, a Japan, at Atebubu.
At a point you say one. At a point you say agents. So what are we talking about here?
Two people.
Initially you said agent. Now you said. Then later you said, oh, the agents that were beaten when they had the press conference, they spoke about it.
Rosalind,
so now you're saying one person from. I don't know what's going on here, Godwin. Yes.
Rosalind, when you add an agent from Alan, an agent from Ken.
No, you didn't say that. You said Ken agents.
No,
you said
I said
Alan
agents were beaten. Anyway. And I'm telling you, one was beaten from Alan's camp. The other was beaten from Ken's camp. When you add the two, it's plural. That's what you need to understand.
Okay, I hear
So we are talking about things that happen. It is not time for you to come and defend this. Because let me tell you one thing.
I am not defending anybody. I'm saying that two political parties have done it. I didn't defend anybody.
No, what is happening in the MPP, let me tell you. The end result is that they need a candidate to come and lead their party going into 2024 election. Whatever they are doing today, if they think it is the best way for one to win an election, the tendency that they are going to replicate same in the general election is very high. Because 2020 election showed all of us.
Are you not confident enough that you win?
I'm saying that 2020 election showed clearly that for the first time in Ghana's history, where people want to exercise their right to elect who becomes a president, we had 8 people losing their lives.
We have seen what happened in the recent elections where the IGP actually instructed that no weapons were to be allowed at the police stations. And so we know that in 2024 it might happen. Let me bring Paul into the conversation. You've spoken for more than 20 minutes, please.
Rosalind, you are making reference to a different election. I am making reference to 2020 election. I thought you were coming to dispute that nobody died.
I didn't dispute that. I'm not disputing
so allow me to.
But it's a different IGP.
I don't have
Let's not forget that in 2020 the IGP was a different person from this one.
But it happened under this particular MPP government. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen. So I'm telling you that if they feel like the way for one to win an election is through this means, Rosalind, you and I must be concerned because you will queue on that day to vote.
Right.
If it is not peaceful, you won't go and exercise your right. That is what we have to speak about. This is unacceptable.
Paul Gray, please come in.
Rosie, I think that you had a very good intellectual conversation with Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, and I appreciate his level of political understanding as he bruised upon the issues that I'd already raised. I think that as a party, the grievances procedure, and I'd like to read that for the avoidance of doubt, especially for people that might not be aware in terms of Article 4, and I stated that Clause 8. It does say, 1, that a member with a grievance against the party may in writing petition the constituency, regional or national executive committee as the case may be for redress. 2, a grievance shall involve an allegation of unjust or unfair treatment by a party against the member. 3, a constituency, regional or national executive committee, as the case may be, shall in conjunction with other party organs, where appropriate, within 21 days from the receipt of the petition, investigate the grievance, conclude its deliberations thereon, and notify its decision to the member. 4, a member aggrieved by or dissatisfied with the decision of the constituency, regional or national executive committee, as the case may be, may within 7 days from the date of the receipt of the notice of the decision appeal in the case of the decision by the constituency executive committee to the regional executive committee, in the case of a decision by the regional executive committee to the national executive committee, whose decision shall be final. And finally, 5, the regional or national executive committees, as the case may be, shall decide the appeal within 7 days of its receipt and communicate its decision thereon to the member. I think that we have stated as a political party, and the doctor also stated that this issue is an issue that we must graciously deal with. And so we wouldn't want any distraction from an unorganized political party.
Which one is the unorganized political party?
Well, I think that we are aware in this country there are 2 major political parties. Mm-hmm. An unorganized political party.
Which one is
if you
unorganized?
Want me to state that emphatically,
yeah,
the NDC,
how are they unorganized?
I would come to that. I will not want to focus much on that, but I'll come to.
If you call somebody unorganized, there should be a basis or the reason for it. Because as far as they are concerned, they are very organized. Currently, they have a flag bearer. Currently, they are working very well to unseat the NPP government.
I think that, you see, Rosie, any attempt to try to bring President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo into the flag bearership race is unfounded, because President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo is not standing for election. President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo is not on the ballot box. President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo did not attend the vetting of the 10 people. So any attempt to want to bring President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo into this conversation and narrative is unheard of, and it shouldn't even start and shouldn't be encouraged. Number 2, any attempt to want to state that what is happening within the political party of the New Patriotic Party is an indication of what is going to happen in 2024 is also unfounded. I mean, any attempt at all purported by anyone from any political party that what we have within our political party in terms of the withdrawal of Alan from the race. And I mean, the learned doctor said it, that there's not been any processes of skewing. The elections has been free and fair. If you do have any grievances, the Article 4, Clause 8 gives you the opportunity to be able to go through the processes and the procedure. And I think that is important, that as we discuss our internal political party issues, no other political party like the NDC should try to bring meaning out of our own understanding, especially as it relates to the constitution that we are guided by. And I mean, no doubt in my mind. I mean, I've stated that this is a very solemn morning. It's a very difficult time for a political party. We are a united political party. We are a political party that if one falls, we would want to nurse the wound of the person. I stated earlier on that I wish Alan Kojo Tremantin the best, and I do wish that his decision to withdraw from the race does not inure to his decision to withdraw from the tradition of the New Patriotic Party. He stated that he would inform the general public about his next involvement in politics in Ghana, and I've stated that his decision as well to withdraw should not mean that he would want to withdraw from the New Patriotic Party and either want to start a new political party.
But he's withdrawn from the New Patriotic.
No, from the race.
But he's withdrawn from the party before.
Yes,
in 2007, he withdrew from the party.
Yes, so
now, let me take you to 2007. You said that they are actually, associating the name of the president, that's Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to this particular elections, to one particular candidate. We go to 2007, where, again, we had the then president, that is ex-president John Agyekum Kufuor's name being associated with Honorable Alan Kojo-Kyerematen. So it's not something new for us to see a president being associated with one particular candidate. It's something that is just like history repeating itself, isn't it?
Rosie, the fact that it's not something new does not mean that is what must be done. The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has come out clearly to all media persons, even at the time when he voted in the Super Delegate Congress, and stated that he has a single vote. And as a single voter, he votes for who he decides to vote for. But he's not publicly come out to state.
But he has influenced us.
Oh, please. The president stated that he has a single vote like every single delegate.
Everybody has a single vote,
yes,
but some people have more influence than others do.
No, this is an election that has been opened for delegates. It's a delegated election. The president does have a single vote, like the chairman does have a single vote. But you're still
swaying away from the fact that people have influence. No,
the influences will not inure to anyone making a decision to vote for candidate A, B, and C.
So why do we campaign then?
I have stated, yes.
Why do we campaign? If because everybody has a single
vote. The president
vote.
and Akufo-Addo did not campaign
exactly,
for any of these.
I know, but I'm just saying that
those
if you say that everybody has
on their behalf,
yes,
they campaigned on their own behalf. The delegates went out to vote based on who they believe would be good enough to represent the party. And this is just a first five procedure. In fact, it's a first five. There's a bigger Congress.
But you actually prophesied in February that, Honorable Alan Kojo-Kyerematen will not become the flag bearer of the party. And so why are you surprised that he's withdrawn?
I didn't think that you would want to raise this issue. I think I've stated that as a political party, this is a very difficult time. We don't want to go back into the heat of the campaigning and electioneering processes. Now we want to stand united very strongly leading into the major conference that we have. What changed in relation to?
Yes, because in February you actually said that he's not going to be a flag bearer. You use certain words that and he stepped down. So if he's withdrawn,
nothing has changed from the comment I made.
So why is it now supposed to be? Oh, we are just trying to unite. It's a difficult time. It shouldn't be surprised. It should be yes. I said it that he was going to step down. He stepped down, and we are not surprised about it. We move forward. We are good to go. That's supposed to be so.
Nothing has changed from the comment I made.
Okay.
Yes, at the moment we don't have a flag bearer for the New Patriotic Party, and Alan has withdrawn from the flag bearer race. It means that he's not going to be the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. So nothing has changed from the comment that I made.
Okay.
I don't want to dwell much on the comment that I made, because the comment that I made is a comment that is factual for the Ghanaian people to be aware of. Where we are now is not where we need to put a lot of coal on the fire that is already burning. We need to ensure that as a political party, we stand united. We need to ensure that people that were followers of Alan Kojo-Kyerematen will throw their support.
Well, some people are saying that actually the NPP. Let me. I'll quickly take some messages. But as we are projecting the messages on the screens, I was saying some people are of the opinion that you want the unity because you are scared that your numbers will dwindle down because he's pulled out. Let me read some messages. Alan is saving his money. He's afraid his money will finish. Humankind is very bad. Their maker, they forget his mighty name. Good morning, Ni Yabua Manko of Jowulula. All right, thank you. Quitters don't win. Alan, the world is for the evil one and his angels of darkness. Okay, the decision of Alan to withdraw from the NPP flag bearership race is a big blow to the NPP. The sort of violence that was unleashed during the Super Delegate Conference of the NPP and the decision of the party elders to sweep all matters of brutality and other forms of irregularities raised by Alan's camp under carpet gives Alan the evidence that the elections were deliberately skewed to favor a particular candidate. This is the beginning of the NPP votes Daniel Akpaliok from Sandima. This is what I was saying, that what some people think, that his withdrawal from this flag bearership race is actually going to affect the party in the long run. All right, good morning, Joy Prime. I'm called Isaiah from Northeast Legon. It's a very bad news for MPP as a party. All right, thank you, Isaiah, for sending your message. Alan is not a true MPP. Is it the first time he's doing this? When you choose wrong people around you, your movement is problematic for you. By blaming your opponent, to me, is not a news, because Uncle Ben has said it. Once again, Alan was advised not to contest Baumia, but rather support him, and Alan becomes vice. If you can't carry your things, blame yourself. Wrong people around Alan has caused his downfall. I'm Kweku Roberts Jr. Awudomesti. Thank you so much, Kweku Roberts, for sending your message. Good morning to you. Ghanaians wanted a political change. That is why the voting community voted for this particular political administration to legislate. But it looks as if what Ghanaians, that is the voting community, bargained for is not what they are receiving currently, apart from VSHS, but rather harsh economic problems. That is, unemployment rate is high. Inflation is above 43%. The exchange rate is bad. Our currency is worse off. And what have you? My point is that I am admonishing the government to tackle this key strategic ministry to stabilize the economy. 1, Ministry of Finance. 2, Ministry of Agri. 3, Ministry of Trade and Industry, and other areas like Bank of Ghana. These are areas, when managed well, will experience the best economy. Aaron Bebako Kokomisa. Thank you so much, Aaron Bebako. We are super grateful. Good morning, I'm Raymond, watching you live from Dunkwalfing. I think Mr. Alan's withdrawal is a good one. He has made his intentions clear. Let us respect his intentions. Keep up the good work, Joy Prime. Thank you so much, Raymond, for sending your message. Good morning, Joy Prime. You see, this man you are interviewing is a spokesperson for the government, and hence will try defending the issue of them throwing support for one person. This Alan withdrawal, I believe, will cost NPP very much. The party should sit up and make revisions to everything, even their attitude now, because opposition isn't for one party. From Bright Wedu Katechie Akro-Kerry. Okay, thank you so much, Bright. Good morning, Joy Prime. I think it is the wisest thing that Mr. Alan Kyerematen has done. I urge him to align with Dr. Baumia to choose him as his vice, so that his chances of becoming president in the near future will be high. After all, Tinubu, with his age, is a president in Nigeria. I wish Alan well, but he has to be careful about the people he will choose to work with as his campaign team next time round. They have let him down. Nana Agunaswedo. All right, thank you, Nana. Kefren Pong, Jenewoho Mankraso. Good morning, Madam Rosalind. Good morning, Madam Rosalind. It's too early for Honorable Kyerematen to resign from the race. I think there are several means he should have taken than accepting defeat as sooner as possible. This superdelegate election results can never have any impact on come November 4th. Greetings to Honorable Francis Menu Adabo, MP Akufo-Addo Southeast. Okay, thank you so much, Kefren Pong. All right, so let's continue with our conversation. I know the messages are a lot, but you can still send in your messages. Today it's all about us. Let's have this conversation together. And let me come to you, Godwin.
Rosalind, I was trying to put on record, and let me put on record on what I was saying earlier that you were not. I think you were not aware. Let me use that word. When you go on Ghana
I wasn't aware. Wait.
Don't worry, you understand, because you claim you watched the press conference I was talking about. I asked if you saw what I saw. You said no. Wednesday, 30th August 2023, Ghana Web. I was beaten, robbed of 40K by a regional executive. Kennedy, Japan agent, alleges. This person is called Charles Addo. He is from the Bono East region. Is that?
Alleges. Did you say alleges?
You said, did I say what?
Alleges.
I'm saying that I was beaten, robbed of 40K.
You continued, you said alleges.
No, I'm saying that is what he's saying. I was quoting what he said.
But you said alleges.
I'm saying that I was saying part of the press conference.
Because the other one,
because he even came, that guy came with a neck, I don't even know the name, a neck, this thing around him at the press conference. That's what I was trying to say.
Right,
I was trying to clarify this.
All right, got it.
2, Rosalind, sometimes let us not joke with words. I was very happy when we were asking Park Grant, on what basis will we say the NDC is unorganized?
Wait, who is Park Grant?
Thinking,
hey, you call Park Grant? I don't know about.
The name is what? No, help me out. Rosalind. Grant, what's the name?
Paul Grave.
Paul Grave, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Paul Grave. Sorry, senior. This is my second time of meeting him. I'm still not getting the name right. Forgive me. let me move forward. You see, I was thinking before he ends his statement, he would have told the people of Ghana why he claims the NDC is unorganized. NDC, as we speak, we are done with our national, almost all the level of elections we are supposed to do. We've appointed virtually every appointee we are supposed to appoint to fill any of the portfolios. We have our flag bearer. As we speak, you are now battling to find a way to appoint a flag bearer. Look at what is happening in your party. How can a reasonable human being look at these two parties and say the NDC is unorganized? If not for the sake of propaganda, just misuse of words, because the words are there, let me just throw it out. Then what else? The NDC, as we speak, is more organized than the MPP. And that is a fact, and everybody is aware of it. My last point, to make the point that let nobody bring in Nana Addo Akufo-Addo in this conversation, it's a lie. And I was very happy you told him that in 2006, 2007, the same Nana Addo Akufo-Addo today and his people were alleging that the then president, former President Kufuor, was supporting Alan Kojo Cheremantin. And those people were coming from the MPP. And they are the people who knows what is going on within the party. So 10 years or 15 years after that particular election, if today Alan Kojo Cheremantin, Boatie Jakon, Kennedy Ejapon, and the rest are equally saying from the same party that Nana Addo Akufo-Addo and the party leadership are skewing things in support of one candidate, who am I not to believe? And that is a fact. We've had most MPP big people, including even the leader of the majority in parliament, saying that they should leave the race for Bawumia, which is against the party rules, because there are rules laid down to elect a candidate. So when you predetermine the outcome of all those elections, I was expecting the leadership, including the president, who currently is the leader of the party, despite the fact that they have chairman and the other executives. He's a leader. Nothing goes on in the party without consulting him to at least publicly rebuke those people. But none of them did so.
Maybe
Just because he said after the first round. After the first round, it will be immaterial.
Oh, but we know that the president actually came out to say that he's not supporting any candidate.
Did you hear President Kufuor openly saying that he was supporting Alan?
Oh,
but his own people. None of those own people were blaming Kufuor for supporting Alan. You don't expect him to openly come out and say, I support A or B. But their actions and inactions determine, and people close to him at the presidency are those supporting the vice. Those close to him are those making those public statements in support of the vice. So if he is not indeed supporting the vice, I will not expect those people to be doing what they are doing. All what we are saying is that the violence that culminated in their superdelegates Congress is something that is unacceptable. We must speak to it, because that is exactly what the superintendent on in the last general election, where for the first time in the history of this country, 8 people lost their lives. It has never happened. And when they continue to think that winning an election is through violence, that is exactly what they are practicing in their party. In the Ghana language, they say, today their own lion, the lions they went to bring from the bush, which they used in 2020 against the opposition and other citizens, are the same lions today coming after them internally. But we are telling and sounding warning to them that they should make sure that when the people...
You can make your point, but which lion? No lion has come from the bush.
That is...
I have a video that I want us to watch.
No, let me end.
Under 30 seconds.
No problem. What we are telling them is that we will not allow the vote of the citizens on the 7th of December 2024 to be surveyed. When the citizens decide to vote for the NDC and they try to come with violence, as they did in 2020, the NDC, when they throw one, we will reply them with triple of what they give us.
I'm sorry, please. We are not saying all of it. There's no going to be...
We won't allow it to happen again.
Please, Godwin, not on my platform. Godwin, we are having a very... No, Godwin, please.
There is a caution attack.
Godwin, there's not going to be an if
Rosalind,
on this
I
platform.
choose my words carefully. I know what I'm talking about.
No, there's not going to be an if on this platform.
When somebody slaps
I'll
you,
continue
you don't
with
sit down
my
for
show.
the person to continue to slap you.
No,
so
we are not promoting any violence.
Nobody's doing that.
No, but what you're saying is actually promoting
that. No, I never said that.
Please.
I'm saying that.
Let's continue. I think Akufo-Addosaysso, who is actually our data analyst at Joy News, actually had an analysis of Alan Kojo-Kyerematen's withdrawal from the flag bearership race. Take a look at it.
It needed 50% plus one in order to become the flag bearer of the NPP. None of them, neither President Akufo-Addo or Alan Kyerematen, was able to get that 50% plus one. Alan, that was his first time contesting against President Akufo-Addo, was able to garner 32.3% of the vote. Then in 2010, after he was beaten in 2007, he came against President Akufo-Addo one more time and he was defeated. Now his performance then drops from that 39.2% to 19.91% in 2010. 2014, they introduced what we call the super delegate conference because there were more than 10 candidates, more than 5 candidates on the ballot. So that was the first time we had it. President Akufo-Addo versus Alan again, and what we saw was that Alan then drops in percentage terms from that 32.3%, 2007, 19, and then drops to 9.87%. So at this point, you can see a steady decline in terms of Alan's performance or popularity as far as the NPP presidential race is concerned. Then comes 2014, the biggest drop. 2014, Alan drops from the 19.91% in 2010 now to 4.75%. So at this point, you would be convinced that per the data and holding other factors constant, Alan's popularity in the party kept dwindling. But it is also important and fair to note that if you compare his super delegate performance between 2014 and 2023, there is a marginal upward increase from what we call the 9.87% in 2014 to 10.27 and 29% in 2003. But if Alan is pulling out Carlos, then we need to analyze one interesting factor of this whole election, what we call the Alan Kyerematen effect.
Okay.
So holding other variables constant, again, let me stress on that. Alan Kyerematen actually has an impact on what happens in the Ashanti region anytime he's defeated or anytime there's something goes wrong in the party. So for instance, in 2007, when he came into the scene, for instance, President Akufo-Addo then defeats him. What happened in the Ashanti region was that they actually drop in their percentage terms in terms of the votes. They dropped by more than some 2 percentage points in 2000 in the main election in 2008. There you have it on your screen. So 2007, Alan got defeated. Then in the main election, Ashanti region drops by 4.75%. Then let's go to 2010. He lost again. What happened in the Ashanti region? The same trend continued, dropped by 1.6 percentage points. Then 2014, he lost. But he did something unique. He decided to now declare his support for President Akufo-Addo, went on campaign tour with him. What happened in Ashanti region? They now increased their vote by 5.4 percentage point. 2020, COVID-19. President Akufo-Addo was allowed to go unopposed. See what happened in the Ashanti region. There was a drop by 3.5 percentage points. So this is what we call the Alan effect. So if Alan Kyerematen is pulling out honorably, what is actually going to happen in the Ashanti region if we hold all other factors constant?
An analysis by Isaac Kofi-Addosaysso, a data analyst at Joy News, and he's actually broken things down for us to understand how Honorable Alan Kojo-Kyerematen in 2007 was quite popular. By 2023, by 2014, it looks like it had dwindled down from 32.30% to 4.75%. However, it shot up a little bit in 2023, 10.29%. But 23rd was actually a big question here. And again, you look at the Ashanti region also. In 2008, the margin dropped because, you know, he was not the flag bearer. And so the kind of voting that they voted for then President John Agyekum Kufuor dropped by 4.7% in 2008, and then he came to 2014 where he decided to support then candidate but now President Akufo-Addo, and it shot up by 5.4%. In 2020, when he stepped back, it dropped again. Will there be a repetition of that in 2024, or the NPP as a party will try as much as possible to massage, you know, Honorable Alan Kojo-Kyerematen into the party, or not he's still in the party though, but you know, to try to massage him to be on the campaign trail of whoever becomes the flag bearer for them to get the massive votes in the Ashanti again, or it's going to affect them if he decides not to be a part of the campaign. Margaret.
Rosie. There are a lot more people in our political party from various parts of the regions who have influence. There are a lot more people in Ashanti region who have influence and whose influences have grown over the years, who at the time of 2007, 2014 did not merit that level of influence, but who from 2016, 2017, 2020, 2023, the lead up into the 2024 general election have yielded a lot more influence. I don't want to assume that Alan's withdrawal from the race would impact significantly our party's influence in the Ashanti region. However, I would want to appeal to Mr. Kojo-Kyerematen, together with his support base, that in the interest of the New Patriotic Party, in the interest of the party of the traditions that we have all believed in the interest of the party that we have all belonged to and we have all struggled with, in the interest of the oath that brought this party into being from 1947, when Dr. J.B. Dankwa, Power Grant, and the senior guys met at Salt.
So that's why you've been called Power Grant this morning?
Well, Power Grant is my great-granduncle.
Aha, makes sense. Right.
So in that interest
take back your laughter.
Of the traditions of the UGCC and the New Patriotic Party, I would admonish that Mr. Kojo-Kyerematen allows his support base to remain steadfast and resolute in the tenets of the New Patriotic Party. And as he consults, because that's what he said, as he consults with his family and elders in the party and in society on his next step of action and involvement in Ghanaian politics, I would hope and pray that that decision is guided towards the New Patriotic Party, so our party remains stronger and firmer, so we can be able to go forward. And I'm glad that he picked up the favorite quote of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, that the battle is still the Lord's. I'm in no doubt in my mind that Alan Kojo-Kyerematen is still a member of the New Patriotic Party, would still remain a member of the New Patriotic Party, and would support the entire processes in ensuring that the party selects the credible, intelligent, formidable, winning candidate for the flag bearership of the NPP and candidate for the NPP in the 2024 general election.
Now, as of yesterday, when this statement was released to the public domain, the party had not received an official letter of his withdrawal from the race. Have you received it today? Party and government are, I think that the right person to respond to that question would be our General Secretary. It's early days. I'm sure that maybe by sometime today we should hear something from the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. Is it not surprising that he didn't address it directly to the party first before he came to the public domain? Does it mean that he has some sort of sentiment against the party?
You know, Rosie, we can read a lot more into people's emotions, but it's important that the interpretation of people's emotions are guided. We don't get into a fallibility state of creating a lot more bruises. I think that he owed it the right to use whatever procedure that he deemed fit to address the Ghanaian people and even address party grassroots people. And I'm sure that his campaign team would formally send a letter to the party. And I'm sure the party would also give a response.
Right. All right, so we have some comments coming in. I'll quickly read those comments and then we delve into our next topic quickly. Bertrand Ni Ajay Kraku says, aka Papa J, good morning. I'm connected live from Tema Newtown. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has marketed and carried himself very well since President Nana Addo Dankwa gave him the opportunity to serve as his running mate till date, and he deserves to lead the NPP as flag bearer. All right, thank you so much, Bertrand. Madam, if you have such a person on your campaign team, how can you win a simple election? The Alan man you interviewed and the former communications director, Yao Boabe Asamoah, really sent Alan to the third position instead of first. This coming from Yao Nyantechi Boating Boma. All right, thank you so much, Yao, for sending your message. You know, the next one has to do with the Office of the Special Prosecutor, where the office seized the properties of Madam Cecilia Dapaah due to some issues that happened in the past. Now, about a month or two ago, Madam Cecilia Dapaah sued her house helps for stealing a certain amount of money from her household, $1 million, some amount of monies in cedis and euros, and other properties as well. It caused a lot of alarm in Ghana, and people wanted an investigation into how an official person of the state had such an amount of money in her house. So the Office of the Special Prosecutor decided to step in and seize the properties for investigations to go on. However, about 2 days ago, we know that last week, Friday, the court ordered the Office of the Special Prosecutor to release the items that had been seized back to Madam Cecilia Dapaah. Yesterday, Office of the Special Prosecutor actually did say that they have released the items, but they are seizing the items back again with their own mandate, seizing the items effective today. It's caused a lot of mixed feelings. I don't know what Godwin thinks about it, but Godwin, what's your take on it?
Effective yesterday or today?
Today, effective today.
Oh, okay.
See, released yesterday, season today.
Season today, okay. You see, Rosalind, this is a public interest matter, and every citizen must be interested in this issue. If you are dealing with your private issues or private business, who am I to poke my nose into it? I wouldn't do that. But immediately you decide to hold public office where taxes of the citizens are being used to pay you and finance other aspects of you. Any move you take, any money you receive, we must be interested in there. What happened in court, for me, I was a little surprised when the judge ordered for the seizure to be founded or to be released to Cecilia Dapaah, because the court very, very well knows that this same procedure of releasing and further seizing it was available to the special prosecutor, which he could easily do that. The reason is that the special prosecutor couldn't tell the court the quantum of money and details of the money in the account. It's like he was concealing some information from the court, and for that reason they needed to give that order for it to be released. And also
he didn't seek permission.
What permission? He had
to, after seizure, he had to go to the court for confirmation
within 7 days,
which he did not.
But I have listened to a lot of lawyers who says that there are a lot of time-bound processes in the court
and this is
procedure.
7 days.
I agree. Yeah. Where there are instances where when the court believes that this is of much interest, they have overlooked the time and has gone on to adjudicate on the issues. So somewhere of the view that looking at the nature and gravity of the matter, the judge could have done same, but all the same, the law is in the bosom of the judge. He did because he has the prerogative right and the discretion to do what he did. I am very happy the special prosecutor is very much interested in this case and has done the needful, because the properties or the money in question is like an evidence to the issue pending. He believes that should he release the money to Cecilia Dapaah, and there is no restriction on whether she can tamper with it or not to tamper with it, what then happens if after some months we come back and the money cannot be found in the account? Then we lose the evidence that we need in order to prosecute him. And that is the reason why they think that we need to place a certain embargo on those monies pending investigation, so that nobody can tamper with the money. And for me, when I apply common sense, and the reason why the framers of the Special Prosecutors Act decided to find a certain portions of the sections and place in there. And yesterday, reading his release, he stated Section 32 of his act, which the subheading is search and seizure of tainted properties. So instances where the special prosecutor believes that this property or money may be tainted with an act of corruption or corruption related activities, the special prosecutor can move ahead to seize those properties.
Right now,
he believes
24 hours of seizure, 24 hours of release, she can still touch her money now. 24 hours before they seize it again tomorrow.
So let's see. We have not been told whether.
Yeah, because he actually said he had released it yesterday. So
I agree, but we haven't been told that after the release yesterday and further seizure this morning, there has been a certain kind of temper with the money. But it is possible, as you said, it is possible, but we are yet to be told. So the special prosecutor has decided to further activate his provisions in the act in order to go ahead to do that. Same is also found in his LI. And I think for me, it is very interesting that since the seizure of this, or since this issue came to the public domain, if Cecilia Dapaah has any extra businesses that she does, by now we should be hearing her saying that I got the extra money or those monies, maybe from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So far, one reason she has given is that part of the money belongs to the late brother. So what I want to assume is that the remaining money that she claims belongs to her, she didn't get them from any other source, apart from whatever we know her to be doing.
Okay.
So in the wisdom of the OSP, he thinks that this money is looking at the work she is doing in terms of the ministerial appointment. When you look at the salaries, the allowances she takes,
so
and you want to accumulate for the past 7 or 8 years, it cannot amount to that money that they have found in her account and in her home.
Investigations
and for that matter,
ongoing.
He thinks it is an act of corruption. And corruption
no, he didn't say that. No, he didn't say that. He sees it for
suspected.
After investigation.
What does it mean?
No.
And I think that in the wisdom of the OSP,
so if they arrest you as suspicion of murder, doesn't mean that you're a murderer.
If you don't, I'm coming, Rosalie. If you don't suspect any corrupting activities, you cannot go ahead
but it doesn't mean the
to
person
seize
is
the activity. I agree.
Yes.
I'm only quoting what he said.
All right.
That in the best wisdom of him, he thinks the monies were gotten or accumulated out of act of
so after investigation, we'll get to the
that is why he has gone ahead to seize it. We are still following the matter, and we think he has to do the needful.
Rosie, Madam Cecilia Dapaah and her matter in court, which came to the public domain, and her resignation from government, and the mandates that President Akufo-Addo has given to anti-graft agencies, especially the Office of the Special Prosecutor, to ensure that the Office of Special Prosecutor brings clarity on allegations and issues thereof. The matter went to the High Court. The court, on hearing the substantial issues, ordered for the freezing of Madam Cecilia Dapaah's items to be returned back. In the processes of law, you can always agree or disagree with a ruling that comes from a court, and you can start a process again. to ensure that the matter comes to a conclusive end. I have extreme confidence in the Office of the Special Prosecutor to ensure that this issue that is of public interest and this issue that needs a lot more clarification on how Madam Cecilia Dapaah acquired such money. It is the interpreters of the law that would be able to help us. If the Office of the Special Prosecutor has prosecutorial roles, and so they have a right to unfreeze and start a process again, I would state that we should observe the processes and be guided with how the processes unfold, such that with hindsight in the future, we can be able to learn from history. It's early days. We would keep a strong eye on the processes as it relates to Madam Cecilia Dapaah. We would wish her well and wish the OSP well, wish the court system well, and in verifying the truth so that we can be able to move on from this issue into other allegations that have been peddled against public people in this country.
Right. Thank you so much for being here, gentlemen. We are super grateful that you could make it. And our guests have been Godwin Ayaba Mahama, who represented the NDC today. Godwin has been on fire. You've been on fire. Why do you have a straight face? What is it? You're not happy?
I hope you are closing.
We are closing.
We'll talk behind the scenes.
I don't know what Godwin wants to say. Right, and our next guest is Paul Dankwa, who is a government spokesperson on governance and security. Thank you so much for being here. When is your mother's 1 week?
Next week, Saturday, 16th of September.
Okay. Where? Where is it?
At Adabraka of Pennyfield.
Oh, okay. Then I'll come with Godwin. Godwin, will you go?
I will be there. I even learned he is staging to be a parliamentary candidate for Ebuakwa North constituency. I was surprised to hear that, not because he's a bad person, but it's because I feel like most of the government appointees are moving straight to parliament because they are sensing a total defeat in 2024, and for that matter, they need to find space and something to do. Either than that, going to opposition, they won't have anything doing. I wish him the best of luck. I think he can do the work. But after winning internal elections, I don't think he's going to win the general election, because as for the 2024 election, because of the abysmal performance of Nana Akufo-Addo, most of their MPs will lose their seats. Paul Grant, I wish you the best of luck.
He's not Paul Grant, he's called Paul Grave. Thank you so much for watching this segment. We have other conversations coming your way. So those of you who sent in your messages, we are super grateful. Please continue sending your messages. We want you to be a part of this show. And a big interview today is Dr. Abu Sakara Foster. Yes, that's our guest for big interview. So send in your messages. If you have any questions for him, do send it to us. Probably he should, I don't know if you join the NPP or you join the NDC. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. But do stay glued to your television set.